What's up everybody, it's me E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and today we're going to review Project Power. I've got to say, I took one of those power pills earlier today, and I don't think they work. This is fine. Quick disclaimer.
And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
Let's jump right into a quick intro. An ex-military veteran teams up with a police officer and a student to find the source of a dangerous drug that's giving people superpowers on the streets of New Orleans. Enough of that, let's get right into the good.
The good.
Well, the strongest thing for Project Power is definitely going to be the original concept of this superpowered drug. The cool thing here is that the approach that they took with this concept isn't some ridiculous idea that seems too far-fetched. It's not like people are just going into a laboratory, a random explosion of radiation happens, and then everyone gets superpowers. While it is still science fiction, the explanation behind the drug has an interesting grounding that doesn't make these superpowers feel cheap or straight out of a comic book. Now, due to these powers, Project Power offers a number of visually stunning action sequences. The third final act of the movie really turns up a notch in terms of the powers and abilities that are on display. The biggest power, and you'll know it when you see it, is shot incredibly well given the cinematography and special visual effects that they use. Adding the slow motion effects and the unique camera angle shots elevated the scene into a real sight to see. For a good chunk of the movie, you'll probably feel as though the X-Men are going to come running through the door at any moment. One thing I did appreciate about Project Power was the fact that it found a nice balance between the themes and the messages it tried to communicate. There are some obvious one-liners here or there that will deliver certain quips. For example, with the setting being in New Orleans, you'll hear a character say something along the lines of, "Remember the last time the government tried to help New Orleans?" And I'm paraphrasing that, of course. You see, it could be easy for this movie to just keep driving home those stinging points, but it chooses to tread a fine line of being an action movie without constantly preaching at its audience. Lastly, the acting in this movie is solid on all fronts. Jamie Foxx gave a nice performance that was expected from the Oscar award-winning actor. The film and role was a complete cakewalk for Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Matter of fact, I think he might have been a little overqualified for this specific role. The one role that probably stood out the most was Dominique Fishback's as Robin. Next to Jamie Foxx, her character probably had much more to work with, so Fishback stepped in nicely and delivered an effective performance. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on to the bad.
The bad.
Now, Project Power doesn't really have any major flaws or faults, except for that some things are kind of underdeveloped. The film spends a lot of time switching its attention to various things that make it difficult to become fully invested in a specific character or situation. For example, the villain or villains aren't really fleshed out and they're kind of forgettable. You've got these shadow organizations doing this or that shady thing, but that really doesn't go anywhere. There just wasn't enough time to become more invested in the story because our attention gets shifted to other mini stories happening all at once. So despite any wins or losses that the main characters may have had, I don't think the sense of urgency and danger was built up enough, and as a result, the payoff at the end of the movie just wasn't all that satisfying. It was just okay. Alright, enough of that, let's move on to the reason.
The reason.
Project Power brings the superpower genre back down to earth while still delivering entertaining action scenes. What's great about this movie is that it exists in this weird movie limbo where it can be either a film one could write some socially relevant think piece about, or it can just be a popcorn flick that you can sit back and enjoy. I think the latter is what most people are going to take away from this film, and that's totally fine. So when it comes to the rating for Project Power, I've got to give it a 7 out of 10. I get the sense that Project Power is going to follow directly in the footsteps of other Netflix movies like Extraction or The Old Guard. It'll probably have a nice run at being, #1 on Netflix for like the next week or two, and then after that, it'll probably be forgettable until the hype dies down. Either way, I still think it's worth checking out, and you should definitely give it a shot when it comes out on Netflix. So, are you planning on watching Project Power? If and when you do, come on back to this video and let me know what you thought about the movie. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to check out my interview with Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Dominique Fishback as we sit down and talk about their movie. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I always appreciate it. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.